Hey guys, guess what? I think Caleb Williams just totally exposed the Chicago Bears draft plan. And the guy that Caleb Williams has his eyes set on is wide receiver prospect, a guy who ran an impressive 4.3 flat 40-yard dash at this NFL combine that just got over. I'm talking about the Tennessee Volunteers wide receiver, Dante Thornton. And this time is so impressive because it's coming from a guy that's actually 6'5 and 205. So let's do a little quiz here. Does anyone remember this before the draft last year? Now, with new head coach in Ben Johnson, a revamped roster, a full offseason ahead, the Bears are focused on equipping Caleb Williams with all the firepower he possibly needs to fulfill his full potential. And you got to look at Williams' recent social media activity. If it's any indication, I think he just found a receiver prospect in the 2025 draft that he's going to pressure the Chicago Bears to draft. And this has got to make us pay attention because from the Instagram activity leading to Rome going number 9 last year, that's why I put this up, to Justin Fields unfollowing the Bears before the trade to Pittsburgh, this activity, it really telegraphs things. So now I'm going to go to this. We're talking about Caleb Williams recently taking to social media, and he shared a clip of Tennessee Volunteers, once again, wide receiver Dante Thornton Jr.'s 40-yard dash at the Combine. The star prospect is kind of a surprise standout, a guy that wasn't fully on my radar, but he clocked in just a blazing 4.3 flat 40 at the Combine, and this is significant. But now before you go off, I'm not advocating we draft a wide receiver in the early rounds, so chill. But why spend time signing a veteran to a bloated contract to just be the Bears' number 3? I mean, initial projections have Thornton, they have him going in the 4th to 6th round. Like modest production besides his senior year, but also modest draft capital that's needed to get him. And it looks like Caleb's into him. And our QB is already a fan. There's a pretty great thing I'm going to share regarding attitude with Thornton, growth that he's experienced through his college years that, for me, it just kind of balances the scales in his favor. I'm going to get to that in just a minute. But let's get to something different here. Let's talk about Ben Johnson, our new head coach. What is he like in his crazy receiver? What is he like in his number 3 receiver, excuse me? The word crazy, but it's crazy big, crazy fast, crazy long in the body. I mean, Thornton reminds me of one Jameson Williams in Detroit, minus the knucklehead tendencies, minus the suspensions for ridiculous stuff. But if you look at JMO, sure, he was way more prolific in college, but these guys are extremely similar. And imagine a guy taking the top off the defense while DJ and Rome just pick him apart, and then you add in Cole Kmet. I mean, who the heck do you cover if you have a speed threat in this offense? Now we're talking about the offensive line. Sure, that must and will be fixed. Caleb Williams got sacked 68 times last year. If that happens again, all bets are off, right? But let's not forget something. Our number 3 right now, Keenan Allen, he's also nearing the end of his career. I mean, if we replace him with highly promising yet under-the-radar Thornton Jr., absolutely a brilliant move by GM Ryan Poles. And it especially makes sense since Caleb himself has dropped a subtle but not strong hit by this social media post. And also, I mean, to be fair, Caleb Williams wasn't the only one who seemed impressed by this Tennessee Volunteers wide receiver. Because before the Combine, many people had an idea about how fast this guy was. He led Tennessee with 661 receiving yards, 6 touchdown catches, but he's not a flash in the pan because 6'5", 205, blazing fast, 3rd fastest 40 time, and that's behind Hairston and Matthew Golden. But the long and short of it is that speed kills in the NFL. And Williams, he knows exactly what kind of weapon is needed to take the top off the defense in this new offense. And I think it's just going to be absolutely a fantastic pick if the Chicago Bears decide to go that way. But what I like about this player is not just his physical tools. Those are obvious. This is the dude who's evolving. He saw what he was doing at Oregon. That's where he started before he hit the transfer portal to Tennessee. But he saw what he was doing wasn't working. And his mentality, it really changed when he transferred to Tennessee. A lot of introspection, a lot of good coaching too. So let's hear straight from Thornton. My first year, I was more personal driven. Like I wanted all my individual accomplishments to be met. And when I didn't meet those, it affected me in a really negative way. And then as for how this mentality stemmed, he recalled a meeting with his positional coach, and that's Kelsey Pope. I felt like it was the best thing for me to do because I was putting so much pressure on myself rather than knowing that I just had to relax and get back to the reason why I started playing football. Being able to make it team-oriented. That gives me an opportunity to have everybody else on the team able to help me meet my goals, and I'm able to help them meet theirs. Just a full mentality change. And it just really tells a big part of his story. And a first look at Dante Thornton's season-by-season stats, it's not overly impressive because it looks like someone who was unfortunate in a bad situation, and then he transitioned from a duck to a volunteer. I mean, you're looking at him dipping from 366 yards in 22 to just 224 in 23, and that's as he tried to adjust to new schemes at Oregon. And he also suffered a season-ending injury that certainly didn't help things much. But then there's 2024, just a marked improvement. And when asked about how he was able to do it by the media on Friday, he said that it took changing his mentality, took accepting that he'd be a team player, which he described in 3 goals: to win, to be the best teammate I could possibly be, to take advantage of every single opportunity that I got. And I'm excited about this player. It's obvious that Caleb Williams is excited about this player. And I think he'd just be a really good alternative as opposed to just picking up a high-priced free agent, plugging him in as our number 3, and then like burning more of this $80 million that we have in cap space. We don't want to spend like drunken sailors. The only guy that I would really at this point like to bring in as a free agent is Westbrook-Ikhine from Tennessee. The guy's just a stud. If you look back a couple weeks, I did a really good video on him. He could be an absolute beast at number 3. But why not save the money? Why not get the guy in Thornton that Caleb Williams is already keen on? Why not plug him in as our number 3? He can develop, but also he immediately has the speed necessary to take the top off this defense and just let the receivers that we have in Odunze and more just pick teams apart. And also, this is also a guy that's going to go in the 4th to 6th round, so we don't have to worry about burning much needed draft capital. I would see us grabbing a guy like Dahlman at center, maybe grabbing a guard. That's the absolute minimum that we need to do in free agency. I really like Mekhi Becton, newly minted Super Bowl champion from Philly. Will Fries is gaining a lot of momentum as a guy that Chicago could plug and play. And before his injury last year, the guy was actually stat-wise, PFF-wise, performance-wise, eyes test, all the different ways. He was actually performing better than Trey Smith to start the season. But it's going to be really important to see that if he's over that knee injury that he had. I think it was a leg injury that he had, actually. That's something to look for as far as from our medical staff. And it's very likely that we could end up with a center, we could end up with a guard, and I really like handling that defensive end position. Trey Hendrickson from Cincinnati is ripe for the picking. He is ready to be traded. There's no way Cincinnati's going to pay all 3 of those guys top money when they're really going to have to invest, and this is unbelievable, $70 million into their 2 top wide receivers. T. Higgins is going to demand 30, and Chase, he is going to demand to reset the wide receiver market, and that's going to be $40 million plus to get past Justin Jefferson for Minnesota. Jets just signed a huge contract. So a lot of moving parts. I think it's really important that if we get our defensive end solidified, we get these 2 offensive linemen in. That's going to free us up to take the best player available in the first round. And if you're looking at Austin Genty as being the next essentially Barry Sanders, why not take him at 10 if we've done our due diligence in free agency? And then we can pick our spots on offensive line with our 2 high second-round picks. And with this draft, it's such a deep draft in the offensive line that really there's not a big difference between midway in the first to really the top of the third as far as the quality of offensive linemen that you can get. I think we should go for it, and we'll also do our due diligence on the offensive line to bring in veterans. I'm not fully advocating bringing in Genty, but I think it's absolutely essential that we're able to pick the best player available at 10 and really elevate this whole roster to what it should be. You guys let me know, bear down. You always let me know in the comments. Can't wait to interact, and we'll talk soon. See ya.